it's time to actually do something. I've been kind of distracted with personal issues that a lot of them are largely not my own, so I have no business, no real excuse here. But you got to get something going here that actually applies to this channel. So, little something that got over at Sidetrack they brought up, because their sources are saying little different things about this Starfleet Academy, nonsense going on that Alex Kurtzman has announced and they're going to do a thing. Okay. They, again, going to Sidetrack sources, and they've been pretty accurate, apparently. They still don't trust Kurtzman as far as they can throw him. They would still just as soon toss him out right off the lot if they could and deal with somebody else. It's not that damn contract they got to work around here. And the whole thing about, they got a green light for development. Not the same thing as they're a long way before rolling cameras. Yeah, so Alex is. He's pulling a page from JJ with the recent, Star Trek 4 announcement. Oh, yeah, we're going to get going. Have you cast anybody? Well, we're going to talk to them soon. When JJ did, he just, you moron. You don't make these kind of announcements until you got everybody signed up on a contract. Because when he did that, he gave all the power to the cast at that point. Which means, no, you just announced it. You announced we're going to be in it. Which means now you got to pay what I tell you're going to pay, or I'm not in it, and you look at me, you're a total liar. And so that's one of the things hamstringing the Star Trek 4 project. So as far as Starfleet Academy goes, it's sort of thing like, it's kind of a given that Tilly is going to be in it, and yet there was no announcement of Tilly being in it. Which is kind of telling, I think, because it's like, because again, you just gave all the negotiating power to Mary Weissman. Because what audience this show could possibly have, they're going to want to see Tilly. And she could take up half the budget just with her paycheck. And you got to pay her. Because otherwise, it's like nobody's going to watch. Even the piddling them out that actually like this thing, they're not even going to show up if you don't have Tilly. I mean, frankly, I think there's a pretty good reason why this concept, after being bandied about, really, I think they were even talking about it during the original run of Star Trek back in the late 60s. They were trying to do some kind of spin-off idea that, Assignment Earth got the closest with the backdoor pilot. That was gotten, that's why you opened the credits. Special guest Robert Lansing as Gary Seven, because this was the pilot. So this is going to be a crossover episode when they started regular production. It didn't happen, and they were knocking around the idea of a Harry Mudd show. So like anybody thinks comedy in Star Trek, do you think Harry Mudd was going to be a serious show? Come on. That was going to be hilarious. Roddenberry was not opposed to comedy. It's like, the one pilot, APO 924. There was a kind of a MASH type of thing. There was some funny stuff in there. There was comedy mixed in with, there was kind of it was like MASH before MASH, okay? It was kind of the same kind of lines. Way ahead of its time. Good show. You can find it on YouTube. The only thing missing is the opening credits. I wish, Rod would release that. And he went in and he said, they can't all be, doom and gloom, lectures from on high. They got to have a little fun once in a while, And I think if he got in the right mood and said right, but he would probably approve of Lower Decks. I think, this is okay. They got the right idea. Give them time. They're working on it. But Starfleet Academy is like one of those ideas that's been bandied about just about ever since. I mean, they also talked about a thing on a hospital ship for Dr. Mbenga was going to be on that one. So they were bouncing all kinds of ideas. And again, Starfleet Academy was back, and I think there's a reason why it never took off. Because you never get a really compelling reason why it's like. Part of it is with Star Trek, it's like. It's something that Rob Burnett talked about. It's like, you have to be the best of the best of the best to get on these starships and get out there, and you're humanity's representation. And it's kind of, when they tried to force cadets onto Roddenberry in bringing back Star Trek, they have cadets running the Enterprise and getting into trouble and hijinks. He said, no, you don't do, you wouldn't do that. You get experienced officers. These are students. They keep them back in the academy. I mean, you'll drop into the academy once in a while for a story thing, but to be constantly there, it's like, especially once got into the 70s and 80s, the impression was it's just going to be Animal House in space. No, we're not going to cheapen the brand that way. And it's like, and they're talking about another galaxy-threatening disaster. It brings up the big question Roddenberry had whenever they talk about putting cadets on the Enterprise. Why are we sending cadets out there? Where are the experienced officers? They're the ones who should be handling this, not cadets. It flies in the face of all credibility. And I think that's a big thing. Why this concept has never taken off. Plus also, they think about what we saw in JJ. He's the one who finally did something. And it's one of the stupider aspects of the thing. Oh, we have Kirk and Spock and McCoy at the Academy. And it's like, okay. One thing is it's a little universe. Everyone went to school together. It's like, no, because the thing is, they're not all the same ages. They weren't all at the Academy at the same time. So it stretches credibility just in that respect. There, it's like, no. It's like, I think that Spock was maybe a couple years older than Kirk at best. Kirk would have been like a freshman, maybe sophomore, while Spock was a senior, and they were on totally different career tracks. He was doing science, and Kirk was on a command track. He learned, stuff, ship's operations, stuff like that, and Spock was in the science thing. So they rarely would have crossed paths at any pace. And of course, JJ made a total hash of that whole thing. Again, that's why these encyclopedias back here, I'm going to go through them with different colored highlighters, crossing out all of the JJ crap. And I think that may have been also First Sea Discovery. But anything that doesn't fit with actual canon, no, it's gone. It's getting it, scratching. I'll still be able to read it. That doesn't count. Because that's the only way really to cleanse that poor thing. They made it largely useless in a lot of things. There's large chunks of backstory. Nope. Out. But yeah, the Starfleet Academy thing, it's like, don't start holding the funeral for Star Trek just yet. Okay? Because Paramount still has not suddenly fallen in love with Alex Kurtzman. They know damn well he had nothing to do with Picard. He's trying to parlay. He's trying to play like he did. Oh, yeah, I put him in charge. Yeah, and then you left. Okay? You're doing your things over here. We know what Metalis is doing. We get these, we see the reports coming there. Who's spending what? He's spending a hell of a lot less money than you, Alex. And he's getting the audience response that you would kill to get because they can read Rotten Tomatoes as much as anybody else. And the audience response to season 1, season 2 are in the gutter. Season 3 up on the high 90s and 100s. So the audience likes what he's doing. What's your excuse, Alex? You're the one supposed to know what the hell's going on here. Why can't you put anything out that people like? And the same thing with all the other productions there. It's no secret that he has nothing to do creatively with Lower Decks or Prodigy or this season of Picard. And not a lot to do with Strange New World. It's mostly Akiva Goldsman's thing. And that's got problems because Goldsman's still a bit of a hack. But he's got some form. He is an long-time fan. He used to go to conventions back in the 70s. He is a fan of the show. I don't think he quite gets it, but he's closer than the other morons that have been going. Bringing in, there's a certain value to bring in people who aren't necessarily dyed-in-the-wool Trekkies for a fresh perspective. But you don't do the entire freaking staff like that. Someone's got to be in there to know what the hell is going on. And Kirsten Beyer apparently is just being shouted out in a corner. She ain't doing it for whatever reason. I don't, whether or not she is bought into it or whether or not she's just being, It's like, oh, shut up. You just write novels. You don't know anything about television. We've done the Gilmore Girls and Vampire Diaries. We know television. You know. And she just has to sit there and take it, I think. Or yet there's Rob Bennett. He knows her. I don't. Okay. And it'll be interesting to hear from her perspective when this is all said and done. And there's no more fear of getting fired. And she can actually, okay, yeah, here's what it was like in the Discovery, writer's room. Now, I want to hear that conversation. I want to be a part of that conversation. Rob, make it happen in a couple of years, okay? I want to be in on that, Burnett, okay? But yeah, it's like, it's not a done deal that this Academy thing is even going to happen. It's in development. Lots of projects go into development and never. That's why they call it development hell. They go in. It's a lot cheaper to just keep something in development, throw a few $100s, a few $1,000s, instead of the millions of dollars it takes to actually physically produce the show. They can dangle them out there for a while, just keep them in development there for a while, but never actually greenlight it, for production. Another thing he ever does again. That could be their way of waiting them out. So again, let's all wait and see. Let's not hit the red alert just yet. Yellow alert, maintain. Stay ready, but let's not panic just yet. So I think and also, Terry Matalas is not wasting any time. He's pushing Star Trek Legacy. Now the question is matter. Okay, do we want to? How soon do we want? Because he's also doing other things. I forget what he's working on for other, but he's got other productions going on. So he's not exactly going to jump on this right away. But he is nudging. It's like, hey, I got this Star Trek Legacy idea. But other people that come up with the names, like, yeah, I can do that. We can possibly get these guys back for another season here, for a few more years. Whether or not they still have to be in this stupid Star Trek Discovery timeline, or I would, one thing I would push for, Terry Matalas, I know for some strange reason you have me blocked on Twitter. I don't know what the hell I did. If it's one of my more political posts or whatever, but I'm even blocked from even liking his post. Never mind, responding when they come up with my thing. I try and like it. No, you're not even allowed to like it. It's like, what the hell did I do? I mean, as far as Star Trek Picard, I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders here, okay? I've been alienated by some of the other channels here. Doomcock probably won't give me the time of day now, okay? But let me tell you, I think the decor of my room here should show that I'm one of the good guys. I'm on the side of good Star Trek, okay? If this Star Trek Legacy thing is to continue, or actually get started, find out some way to get it into the canon timeline. I didn't say prime. I said canon. Canon is not prime. Prime is whatever, they offshot of prime onto you, but the prime timeline is not the canon timeline. It doesn't match up. It doesn't have, they don't have the disco prize in there, and you can work with them, because I got my own little theory about how temporal mechanics in the Star Trek universe. And this, there's a lot of stuff in there to indicate that the time, it's part of time is part of a river. And as it goes further downstream, everything starts to, you can throw a rock, big old rock in the middle of the stream, it'll disperse into several different little streams. But they're all going downhill. Eventually they'll all meet back up. And various anomalies around here and there, but eventually they'll all even out, and it'll eventually merge back into a proper timeline. You might have a couple of outstreams that still have to side, but things tend to try and realign. And that's kind of how you get a mirror universe with a Kirk and a Spock and a Scott and all them on the ISS Enterprise, because it's still going in that direction. It still wants to realign. And the closer you get is, well, instead of taking over from Pike, he assassinated Pike, and that sort of thing. And in DS9, how all these characters are still where you expect them to be in different roles, everything. So you can kind of build on that, and that's and there's some way you can start it off with somehow Legacy wraps this thing in, and you're back in the proper canon timeline. Maybe signify it by turning the lights on the ship. Okay, bring it up. We've seen stills between when the cameras aren't rolling, and you light it up. Sets look great. Light them up. Let's see them. Okay. I'm not saying flat 90s, light it. Just brighten them up a little bit. Okay, let's see what's going on there. And maybe a slight change in uniforms, because those comm badges they got on there, that always is signified an alternate. It's generally an alternate timeline. So I would, slight change in the uniform, slight change in the comm badge to indicate, okay, now we're in a proper timeline. You could really do it, but Picard is now a real boy again. He's not in a synthetic body. He's still got the mechanical heart, but it's still a regular human body. They can still whatever they're doing with the aromatic syndrome. That's not aromatic syndrome, and go over that. But something to just wrap up that idiotic timeline from Discovery. Nope, they're done. We're not going back there, and we move on. And from that point on, you are free and clear to navigate and do that. And I think that'd be the way to go for as Star Trek Legacy goes. And yeah, from there you have a canon version of Captain Shaw and Seven and all that. And the Titan, and we move on from there. But Academy, again, it's kind of like what they're doing with Overstart. With why? What did we do to deserve this? Okay, but yeah, okay. So we will just wrap it up there for now, and need to get this channel building up here. Okay, I mean, I know I've been slacking off big time for various reasons. Part of it is this stupid computer won't stay. I got to switch over to the other one in order to upload this. So I'm gonna try something. Move the server into here if I can find, because I got a big old bunch of coax. I should be able to stretch it back into here. If I can get that in here, that should at least solve the because I did install the Wi-Fi card in here. Supposedly it works fine. If I can get that set up, so at least the Wi-Fi signal is coming from there instead of out in the living room, that might get there, and I'll be able to get a little better connection there to actually start doing stuff. I still can't run Fortnite on this. I do have to get a new graphics card for this thing. And get this thing built up to a point, then I can get some gaming streams going. I'm thinking the weather's warming up enough. I'm gonna give a shot at seeing if I can revive that one gray primer can. Apparently it's like the company doesn't make gray anymore. It's like the stupidest thing. How can you not make gray primer? It's either black or white. It's like, what the hell happened here? But yeah, if I got one can of the shade I've been using with a clogged nozzle. I also got another can it's empty, but the nozzle thing is fine. So I think if I swap that out, and that's the problem, I find great. I can finish up the Enterprise and get that, get back on building that and get start doing some videos on that. And especially if I can figure out how to get, because I established, yes, the lights in the Bassards work, and I get them spinning with the domes. If I can just figure out how to get that into the wiring and do that, something I'm missing. And then I can start, getting stuff going. I'm really start, showing my idea of how to get this thing put together, and without dealing with a whole bunch of masks and this thing. Because I don't think because I've been going to the project, just paint, get the hull color in, because there really isn't a lot of puttying to do it. They're very, very minimal seams on this model. Like it's practically a snap together. You can almost put it together and have very little glue. In fact, there's some parts I'm not going to glue together, partly for maintenance purposes. So, like those Bassard things, they'll fit right in there. You don't glue them at all. Just leave them alone. But if we can get that going. I also am gonna start hawking, getting the Patreon back up. I don't know what I can do on Patreon, maybe, but except just it's a way to support the channel and get this thing building back up here. I've been stuck at we're at now currently at 1,303 subscribers. God bless you, everyone. But we need more for a channel really to become, worth it. It needs probably at least 10,000, I think, to really get a regular income coming on it. Not much, but at least a regular routine. Because right now, my AdSense is sitting at about $60 at this rate. I might get a $100 check for Christmas. That's not how you get a channel. You get, because it's great. Yeah, it's monetized. Barely, okay? And that, yeah, eventually they'll throw me a bone here, but to get this thing really going, you got to get these channels going. And it would help also a little bit to get some feedback from you guys. What do you want to see? Give me some ideas here. It can't just be all me. I mean, I take the approach I do what interests me on this channel, but, throw me some ideas. Some of them may interest me. No, I think I also want, I got a thing here for a song parody of, the version of Travis Tritt's for, song Foolish Pride. And it's because I got to give it a kick when they cover this whole Bud Light nonsense. But I've always loved this, this song, Foolish Pride. Then hey, wait a minute. That lends itself pretty well to, the issues of franchises and the lack of care and mismanagement and the fans that go nuts and tear each other apart. So I'm going to get that. I really want to get his permission for it. So I'm going to, do up a thing and post it on his Twitter thing and say, how'd I do? Because he was a music nerd in school, but I don't know, there's any kind of, can you relate to this a bit? Can I get your blessing to this? Because I already got I got a karaoke truck downloaded, I might rework a couple of words so they match the backing vocals a little better, but other than that, I'm almost ready to go. But I want to get this channel up and going. It's kind of the whole reason why we insist on getting a 2-bedroom apartment. So I could take the second bedroom here and make it my mad scientist lab. And we're, it's taking shape here. I still picks up my trash here. And if I can get this computer up to snuff here, one way or the other, but what aggravates me is it's Ethernet connected. It's a cord going from that thing, from the thing directly from that to the server in the living room. I should not be having problems like this. Once in a while it'll work like thing, but then it's like, no, 5 minutes later it bogs down again. I don't know what's going on there. But I think if I can at least get the thing in here, I can still go through the Wi-Fi and maybe make up the difference that way. But anyway. And also, links in the description of all kinds of things. My subscribe star is still sitting there at 25 cents away from paying out, guys. I mean, that's the kind of aggravating thing. It's almost there. It's like that's $50, but still, it's something. But all things, the coffee thing, I got, again, all kinds of things. Everything I could come across as far as supporting, it's down there. So pick one you like, pick one you're comfortable with, and please, let's try and get this thing going here, because, it would be nice to actually pay the rent in full. They're being very patient with, as long as we're talking to them, letting what's going on, and throwing them money, they're putting up with a lot. But I would like to get to the point where it's like they're not having to put up with us, because we got to sign a new lease in the month. And not necessarily a done deal. Well, you're actually about $2,000 in the hole here. We have to, come on. So yeah, we got the direct donation to the PayPal. We got the Patreon down there for the money. We got other ones down there for monthly stuff. Let's get this going here, guys. Okay, I need to get this thing back up and running again. I need to overcome the past tribulations of the past few years. Now that we are in a place, we need to stay in this place and make a go of it here. And that's part of you guys. Like the graphic at the end, you're part of the success of this channel. So, all right. Enough guilt tripping, enough begging. We will talk at you later.